Officer Carson.
We gotta talk about your parole, Bode. I want to know why you've been associating with known criminals.
Parole officer Roger Cross just showed up to say Bode's been associating with known criminals. What's that all about?
It's about some stuff that's about to go down this next episode. We see that Bode has been doing some work on the side. He's constantly playing with fire. No, well, pun completely intended, but in a lot of different ways, right? And this is one of those situations where, I think he's aware of the situation he's putting himself into, but he's walking a fine line there as well, just because of who it is that he's been spending time with.
This could jeopardize his parole. He always seems to be walking along the razor's edge. Is that just part of his personality?
Well, I think it's part of his personality, but I think usually most of the time when he is, there's a bigger reason, right? There's something else involved or something at stake. And in this situation, he's trying to make some extra money to help his parents pay for what's going on with his grandpa.
Spinoff star Marina Baccarin, she's back as Sheriff Mickey Fox, Sharon's stepsister. What differentiates this upcoming visit from the last one that happened about a year ago?
We're spending a little more time, I think, in her world in a way, in more situations that she will be involved in sheriff country. It's not so much about the fire, but more about the incident and what's going on. There's a more emotional level attached to it because we're getting to meet her dad, Wes Fox.
Played by Deadwood's W. Earl Brown. And
That's
you have
right.
a bunch of scenes with him. How was he as a scene partner?
He's awesome.
Getting cold, gotta get my babies inside. Hey, be careful with that. Gentle, it's a special strain. Sort of hinders for smoking at Woodstock.
Come on, Bode, let's get to work.
I knew him, it's funny, from Bates Motel. He was in the very first 1 or 2 episodes of Bates. And so we hadn't seen each other in years. I just remember that experience. There was something so unique about him and his performance and something so memorable. We talked about him and his character throughout the whole series. Like for 5 years, we would talk about him and bring him up. And, I think that he's one of those, the guy is like such a chameleon. You've seen tons of his work without knowing you're watching him, which is fascinating to me. Like I love to tell people when they meet him for the first time or when he's on set or whatever, that he is Warren and there's something about Mary. And that always like blows people's minds. They're like, wait, what?
Oh my
They're like,
God.
He's Mary's brother? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like the Franks and Beans guy. Like that's W. O. Brown.
Wow.
And
okay.
it just goes to show you
that
like
list of minds blown. Okay.
Right? Like goes to show you like the range that he has, and really like how he really just embodies his characters. Yeah, this episode we get to meet him. His life has been threatened.
He's an illegal marijuana grow
Someone's
farmer.
trying to kill him.
Yeah.
Someone has it out for him, and so Mickey's trying to figure out who wants him dead. Yeah, it's a pretty exciting episode and pretty wild, but also just a deeper look into what's to come in sheriff country.
You're not a detective. You're not going to help. I just got your mom back. I'm not endangering your life.
You won't be. Wes isn't a bad guy.
He's not a good guy either. You need to start seeing him more clearly.
So do you.
The next episode involves 42 dealing with an accident at a ski resort. And it looks like for that episode, you got all the snow in the world. But was that just like serendipity, or is there just reliably a good amount of snow nearby in Vancouver?
No, so what's funny is we actually, there was almost no snow at that time, which, seems to be how it always works out. Like the weather you want is not the weather you get, especially in Vancouver.
Vancouver, it's rainstorming, every day of the week, but when you need a rainstorm for the episode, it decides to be sunny out.
100%, forget it. And that was one of those, like it looked like snow was coming. We planned it around this time of year, no snow. And so we ended up filming up on top of Grouse Mountain, the ski resort right above Vancouver. You take a gondola to get up there. So that it was challenging, but it looks awesome. Provides just such a different feel, and I don't know, just such a great backdrop, and such great scope. And then the funniest part was like then at the end of the season, when I'm directing 19, and there was an unavoidable amount of snow everywhere. And I was like, man, I if only this snow could have happened, a month ago. We wouldn't have had to go to the top of that mountain to film all this stuff. Could have done it right here at base camp at the stage.
We have to talk about Bode and Gabriella because they've been through it over 3 seasons. Let's just briefly recap. They met in the series premiere. She was with Jake. She saved Bode's life when he fell off the bridge. They ended up hooking up. But then season 1 finale comes around. He lies at his parole hearing in order to help out Freddie. Gabby's irked by that. That paves the way for Diego to swoop in and for her to fall in love with him. Season 2 finale comes around. And Bode almost crashes the wedding. Doesn't quite. Season 3 opens. Turns out that Gabrielle walked out on her own wedding. She and Bode try like friends with benefits. He wants more. She's not ready to give him more. Is it kind of part of the design of the show that they're going to be the couple that we're always rooting for to be together?
Yeah, I think that's kind of how we've certainly established it. And, I think, your recap is like...
I left out a lot, too.
You left out a lot, but it's still a lot. They've gone through such a progression in a relatively short amount of time that I think the thing that we're going to have to try and figure out and focus on going forward is how to maintain that without reusing anything.
Right.
And so I think that's that'll be one of our big challenges going forward, is keeping that as a big part of the story, but not letting it pay off quite yet.
What is Audrey able to offer him that Gabriella can't at the moment?
I think the thing that Audrey has is clearly, she's able to relate to him just on her own personal experiences. She understands him, she sympathizes with him, and I think she also calls him out on some of his stuff. She keeps him on his toes. And clearly she has, while sometimes Gabriella's relationship, maybe more specifically with Sharon, can be fractured at times, I think Audrey's connection to Walter...
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
Is
giving her those sweet scenes with Walter.
Yeah.
It gave her character an extra depth.
Totally. It's a different side that, different side you get to see from her. And also something I think that's a little bit unexpected. She has an edge to her, but then you get to see her soften and see her heart a little bit, which you see a little bit too in the episode where the baby is left off. But you learn that she's the way she is because of what she's experienced in her life, right? Like we unpack some of that and tell the stories of, her, like what led her to incarceration this last time, what her childhood was like, her upbringing, and you're able to sort of relate and sympathize more with the character because you understand where she's coming from.
That brings me to my first reader question. Marlos wants to know, will we see Gabby and Bode come back together because their chemistry is insane?
Right away or when?
I think the implied word is ever.
Ever. Look, I think people certainly realize that we established that relationship early on, and it's something that everybody will always be tracking. But, but I also don't want to lead anybody onto thinking that it's happening tomorrow, because I think there's a long journey ahead.
When the LA wildfires broke out, one of the things that we're compelled to do as entertainment journalists is we have to ask ourselves, and we do this with any real life incident, earthquakes, bombings, airplane crashes, we have to ask ourselves how this might affect any given show. Does anybody have a similar storyline coming up? Is someone going to want to put an advisory at the start of their episode? And when the wildfires happened, all I could think about was Fire Country's mid-season finale ended with that raging wildfire by Eve's father's farm. And that imagery was so identical to what we would end up seeing in real life. By the time you guys rolled around with your mid-season premiere, were any tweaks made to that mid-season premiere to make it a little bit less identical?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know if we went and pulled anything out of it. Obviously, it was hugely recognized and all over the news, and in the forefront of people's minds. As the Los Angeles wildfires were going on. But, I think we're also, our goal is as storytellers is to try and be true and accurate as best we can. And also, not just entertain, but bring people real human stories, of flawed people, and tell the stories of all of these heroes, these men and women who do these jobs, who do this job, and not only risk their lives, but what's to come from doing the job. I mean, there's, it takes a heavy toll, right? I mean, wildland firefighters have a 70% increased chance of developing lung cancer from an average person. Divorce rates, like there's a lot of real, and a lot of trauma, like, right, that happens. And I think the only way that you can help people who go through that stuff is to bring attention to it and shine a light on it, and make people aware so we can figure out how to make it better.
And as a co-creator of the show, what did it mean to you to see fire camps come up during the wildfires, to see their work being done in the real world?
It was cool. I think, the same thing, right? Like those men and women deserve to be recognized for the work they do. It's a grueling job. It's a hard job. They do some of the most physical work of a lot of those wildland firefighters, really any hand crew. And that's what they are, is, having to get into the most remote, lousiest backcountry stuff and carry all your gear in there. It was cool. I mean, I think it's an incredible program, and I think it offers people a real opportunity to learn a skill, and to feel like they're a part of something. I mean, that's like the biggest thing that I hear over and over from a lot of these incarcerated firefighters is, especially a lot of the younger ones, is, they got arrested at a young age, been in and out of the system, and never really knew anything other than that. And being a part of something like this, being a part of this team, and feeling like they have a purpose and a job has given them like a totally different perspective and a real sort of drive to continue that when they get out.
We talked about Sheriff Country. What's the status of Fire Country: Surfside, the prospective spinoff that would star Jared Padalecki's character? Because I know Jared did recently sign on for CBS medical drama.
Yeah, so Jared has I think a medical drama in development. I don't know what the status of that is. Look, I mean, there's no real update at this time.
Because the show did a good job of introducing his character and making him different and exciting enough.
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly, excited about expanding the universe, but no big breaking news today.